Siddhartha Gautama was born 2600 years ago within a family of royal nobility. Interpolated by suffering, he left his life of prince to investigate its causes. The existing yogi schools bringing him not enlightenment, he will continue alone his quest. At 45 years, he attained enlightenment, the perfect understanding of the mechanism of our sufferings. He became thus an Arahant, devoting the rest of his life to teaching the path to Nibbana, based on the knowledge of his time, without ever becoming a dogmatic teaching. India in the 6th century before Christ knows a great intellectual development. Brahmanism dominates, wherein the transmigration of souls is conditioned by complex and expensive Vedic sacrifices, orchestrated by the Brahmins offering salvation to those who have the means. From the top of the pyramid of caste, implacable and hereditary, governing life and death. But other schools of thought exist, especially the Samkhya, where trust must be demonstrated and where the empirical universe is governed by intrinsic law and not conditioned by external forces. The doctrine of the non-action, the doctrine of the destiny, nihilism, the doctrine of the one and the other, skepticism, Jainism, Siddhartha Gautama rejected Brahmanism and its unjust caste system. He did not join either the other schools of thought, but was inspired. He created his own way, based on the full and deep knowledge of our sufferings and the means to break free. After following the teaching of the yogi master Alara Kalama and Uddaka Ramaputta, the Prince Gautama, having exceeded the level of his guide but not attained enlightenment, led himself to self-mortification by the retaining of breath and extreme fasting. Prince Gautama did not find either awakening in this extreme practice. Prince Gautama realized then that the fair path is the one of the middle, between opulence and mortification. Under the Bodhi tree, after practicing mental calm, on the attention of breath, he reached the fourth level of jhana, and in the perfect concentration, he remembered his past lives. Thanks to the penetrating vision, Gautama acquired the knowledge of the appearance and disappearance of the beings in all their form, in the good and the bad state of existence, all being paid for their actions, the karma, the wealth of samsara. Prince Gautama then acquired the knowledge of the destruction of corruptions, the Four Noble Truths, and became a Buddha who in his great kindness taught the Noble Eightfold Path leading to Nibbana. Our ignorance feeds our attachment, feeding our hunger. Buddhism is not a religion in the sense revealed, but a spiritual teaching, leading to Nibbana, state of equanimity, where hunger is annihilated. The goal of Buddhism is equanimity, the end of suffering. All beings are subject to suffering. Only full enlightenment frees us. Buddhism is a path to awakening, but only a personal work leads to it. Buddhism works if you are agnostic or whatever is your religion. Buddha say, nurse the man wounded by an arrow. Don't look who sent it and why. It is a pragmatic way to end our suffering by understanding the Four Noble Truths. The lotus symbolizes Buddhism. Its roots grow in the mud, and yet its flower is sublime. Man is good, but his mental confusion perverted him and leads him to hatred. Buddhism puts an end to hatred with the full understanding of our true nature. Everything is suffering, anxiety, dissatisfaction. Below, O monks, is the noble truth concerning suffering. Birth is suffering, aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, death is suffering, sorrow and lamentation, pain, grief and despair are suffering. Association with the loathed is suffering. Dissociation from the loved is suffering. Not to get what one wants is suffering. In short, suffering is the 5 categories of clinging objects. The first dukkha is the one of the 5 aggregates, physical and psychic energy component, the me. The material, sensations, perceptions, volitional mental formation, awareness. These aggregates are in perpetual transformation. Our me is impermanent. It's the second dukkha, nothing lasts, even happiness. The third dukkha is the dependent origination. Nothing is without cause and nothing is its own cause. The universe is a result of consequential phenomena, nascent and dying every moment. This understanding is a key to enlightenment. The origin of dukkha is desire, lust and attachment. Below, O monks, the noble truth of the origin of suffering. It's the craving that produces renewal of being accompanied by enjoyment and lust. And enjoying this and that, in other words, craving for sensual desire, craving for being, craving for non-being. Stopping dukkha is possible, resulting in the true freedom. Cessation of suffering as noble truth is this. It is remindless fading and ceasing, giving up, relinquishing, letting go, and rejecting of that same craving. Following the Eightfold Path, the way to liberation. Right view, right intention. right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, monks, what is right speech? Abstaining from lying, from devised speech, from abusive speech and from idle chatter. This is called right speech. Right action. Monks, what is right action? Abstaining from taking life, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from unchastity. This is called right action. Right livelihood. Monks, what is right livelihood? There is the case where a disciple of the noble ones, having abandoned dishonest livelihood, keep his life going with right livelihood. This is called right livelihood. Concentration. Right effort. And what, monks, is right effort? There is the case where a monk generates desire, endeavor, activate, persistent, uphold, exert his intent for the sake of the non-erasing of evil, unskillful qualities that have not yet erased. He generates desire, endeavor, activate, persistent, uphold, exert his intent for the sake of the abandon of evil, unskillful quality that have arisen. He generates desire, endeavor, activate, persistent, uphold, and exert his intent for the sake of the arising of skillful qualities that have not yet arisen. He generates desire, endeavor, activate, persistent, uphold, and exerts his intent for the maintenance, non-confusion, increase, plenitude, development, and culmination of skillful qualities that have arisen. This, monk, is called right effort. Right effort allows to fight against the states of unskillful mind. It's the guardian which protects against impure thoughts. Right effort is the first step of the calming of the mind. Right mindfulness. And what, monks, is right mindfulness? There is the case where a monk remains focused on the body in and of itself, ardent, alert, and mindful. Putting aside greed and distress with reference to the world, he remains focused on feeling in and of themselves. The mind in and of itself, mental qualities in and of themselves, ardent, alert, and mindful, putting aside greed and distress with reference to the world. This is the direct path for the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and distress, for the attainment of the right method, and for the realization of unbinding, in other words, the four frames of reference. This is called right mindfulness. Right mindfulness rests on the body, feeling, mind, and mental objects. Mindfulness of breathing, mindfulness of the body, object of contemplation. Creating a clear conscience, which does not drift without floating, seeing the true nature of things. right concentration. And what is right concentration? That is the case where a monk quite withdraw from sensuality, withdraw from unskillful mental qualities, enter and remain in the first jhana. With the stilling of direct thought and evaluation, he enters and remains in the second jhana. Rapture and pleasure born of composure, unification of awareness free from direct thought and evaluation, internal assurance. With the fading of rapture, he remains equanimous, mindful and alert, and senses pleasure with the body, he enters and remains in the third jhana, of which the Noble One declares, equanimous and mindful he has a pleasant abiding, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, as with the earlier disappearance of elation and distress, he enters and remains in the fourth jhana, purity of equanimity and mindfulness, neither pleasure nor pain. This is called right concentration. Right concentration belongs to the world of the pure form and formless. The jhanic state of very high and complex state of meditation. The meditator thus acquires full consciousness of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right view. And what is right view? Knowledge with regard to stress, knowledge with regard to the origination of stress, knowledge with regard to the cessation of stress, knowledge with regard to the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress. This is called right view. The right view results from the right attention and the right concentration, allowing the realization of the Four Noble Truths, the calming of the mind leading to jhanic state, allow purification of the mind, facilitating mindfulness, access, concentration, the insight and vipassana meditation. That is to say, understanding of our state of impermanence, the continuous appearance and disappearance of material and psychic phenomena. This state of mindfulness convinces us of the need to free ourselves from samsara. This lucid understanding is the path to the just understanding. Understand the truth of dukkha is the path of the understanding right. When observing mental objects and materials from moment to moment, by our own experience we realize the characteristic of impermanence, suffering and non-self, thereby comprising the truth of dukkha. Right resolve. And what is right resolve? Being resolved of renunciation, on freedom from ill will, on harmlessness. This is called right resolve. The right thoughts is the practice of art, of renunciation, the practice of generosity, the renunciation to the selfish attachment, the listening to the teaching, the practice of virtue, the development of love. The right thoughts is developed by the vipassana meditation. The penetrating vision leads the mind to the recognition of the reality of mental state and physical state in their true nature of manifestation and disappearance, as their impermanent nature and their lack of proper existence. The vipassana path leads the assiduous meditator to the understanding of the Four Noble Truths, allowing him to transcend dukkha and to reach nibbana. Dhamma, law, teaching. 2,600 years ago, Gautama, a man transcended, realized Nibbana. Become a Buddha, he taught until his death and bequeathed to us the Dhamma. The Dhamma is the guide, the law, the path to enlightenment, the liberation, the Nibbana. Buddha is not a god. His faithful gives him thanks for the Dhamma he is teaching. Buddha cannot help. He is beyond death. He is beyond life. He reached the eternal Nibbana, the unconditioned cessation of all conditioned phenomena. The consciousness, which is non-manifest, like space, handless, accessible from all sides, or wholly radiant. Here is that solidity, cohesion, heat, and motion have no footing. Here long and short, coarse and fine, full and lovely have no footing. Here is that name and form stop without remainder. By the stopping of consciousness, all this stops here. The definition of Nibbana is complex. Multiple meanings result from it. But we can keep that in mind. Nibbana is the extension of desire, of hatred, illusions, the annihilation of all suffering. Whatever is its form, the Nibbana is a freedom, and its purpose, its quest, remains more important than its finality. Thus, O Kalamas, with a mind freed from greed and ill will, unfilled and purified, the noble disciple is already during this lifetime assured of a fourfold consolation. If there is another world and a fruit and a result of wholesome and unwholesome actions, then it may be that at the dissolution of the body, after death, I shall be reborn in a happy sphere, a heavenly world. Of this first reconciliation he is assured. And if there is no other world, no fruit and result of wholesome and unwholesome actions, then I live, at least here in this world, an untroubled and happy life, freed from hate and ill will. Of this second consolation he is assured. And if evil things befall evildoers, but I do not harbor ill will against anyone, how can I, who am doing no evil, meet with evil things? Of this third consolation he is assured. And if no evil things befall evildoers, then I know myself in both ways pure. Of this fourth consolation he is assured. The Dhamma purify our life and enhance our karma, for this life and perhaps order. The devotion is fully part of the purification process, which illuminates the path to enlightenment, putting an end to the illusion of me, to the origin of our suffering, anger and violence. The Buddhist wisdom taught by Buddha is the Dhamma. This teaching is a personal work towards wisdom. The mental equanimity, state of true love, radiating happiness. Dedication of offerings.
So
To the Blessed One, the Lord who fully attained perfect enlightenment, to the teaching which he expounded so well, and to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, to these, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, we render with offerings our rightful homage. It's well for us, Blessed One, that having attained liberation, you still had compensation for later generations. Deign to accept these simple offerings for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. Sangha, the community. Community of monks and nuns living on alms and having nothing more than they can bear. Monks and laity lives in symbiosis, the Sangha educate the laity take care of their subsistence. The monks must follow the Dhamma but don't profess form of obeisance, they can live freely the Sangha. Sangha is not hostess but offer a simple life dedicated to spiritual awakening, conducive to development of the knowledge of the dukkha and the dhamma, but not mandatory to achieve high level of awakening. Observance of the precepts. There are 10 precepts to observe for the novice monk and nuns minor ordination. After 10 years on average, novices are eligible for the major ordination and become bhikkhu. Beggar, the monk, will follow 227 rules and the nuns 311 rules. The laity Buddhist should follow the first 5 precepts and the first 8 precepts during prayer celebration. In Southeast Asia, it also happens that older laity, more often women, follow the 10 precepts, often living in the pagoda dressed in white. Undertake the precept to refrain from destroying living creature, undertake the precept to refrain from taking that is which not given, undertake the precept to refrain from sexuality activity, undertake the precept to refrain from incorrect speech, undertake the precept to refrain from intoxication, drink and drugs, undertake the precept to refrain from eating forbidden time, undertake the precept to refrain from dancing, undertake the precept to refrain from wearing Gehlen, undertake the precept to refrain from lying on a high or luxury sleeping place, undertake the precept to refrain from accepting gold and silver, money. Ceremonies of offerings, the monastic dresses, and the monks' exit of retirement at the International Buddhist Temple of Vincennes, Wat Kiramaran Theravada Buddhist Khmer Dhammayutta. Thank you for watching this presentation, the work of an amateur, which probably contains many errors and approximations. Hoping that it awakened in you your Buddhahood. To continue your quest, here is two essential books that guided my steps. The First Discourse of the Buddha, an Introduction to Buddhism. as well as some essential websites. Hoping sincerely that you can find the Nibbana. Jayavaman 7 in full meditation. This video is dedicated to my wife who offered me the Buddhism.